I would like to introduce the science of music, which is part of the Chrysalis teachings. In the past, we have only thought of music as an art. Now we must begin to realize that it is also a science of unification. It is the communication link or language not only between all of nature, but also between all of the universes. Music will aid in the healing of humans and the planet. It has the ability to heal because it can transpose to color. Music can convert to wavelength patterns. It can relate to feelings in the human body. It can also relate to aromas and also taste buds. The expression of the emotions can be given through singing, and the expression of the physical body through dress, dance, and presentation of form. Music is the ultimate for enhancing mental thought by tuning up the four parts of the body, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, thereby making it also the ultimate expression of spirituality. The science of music can be applied to 7 different sciences by working with already established concepts to give us much new technology. These 7 sciences are agriculture, biology, healing, education, astronomy, chemistry, and architecture. There is a new method of solar energy, new ways of growing food, plans for a healing machine, a new blood test machine, plans for a complete new school system, personal music charts, and much more. One of the first baby steps of taking music into science is by tying music and color together. For example, our musical scale of C major matches the colors of the rainbow: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. The red of C mixed with the yellow of E gives orange for D. The yellow of E mixed with the blue of G gives us green for F. The red of the next higher octave C starts mixing with the blue of G, giving indigo for A, more blue due to being nearer to G, and violet for B, more red due to being nearer to the higher C. The notes of the C major chord are C, red, E, yellow, and G, blue. Our primary colors are red, yellow, and blue, the same as the colors of the C major musical triad. Incidentally, the 3 main chords in the key of C, the 1-4-5 cadence, are the C chord red, the F chord green, and the G chord blue. These are the colors that RGB color monitors for computers are based on, RGB standing for red, green, and blue. The science of music will be based on a system of vibratory charts, which are based on the principle of like attracts like. The theory behind these charts is so immense that it covers all of creation. The charts fall into 3 different categories: the evolutionary charts of 7, the master charts, the restructuring charts of 12, the subcharts, and the enhancing charts, the sub-subcharts. Every item manifesting on the earth plane, whether of nature or man-made, is made up of fundamental elements. If found in nature, these elements will be in harmony of musical chords. Those that are man-made should be in harmony, but for the most part are not. If they were, then these products would have a counterbalancing agent in nature to take care of their disposal and the pollution problems they cause. For instance, chlorine in the atmosphere is partly the cause of the hole in the ozone layer. These charts are based on octaves of resonance. For instance, each octave of C on the piano is the same pitch, only 12 keys higher than the previous one. In actuality, there are 7 full octaves between each kingdom. The musical scales make up the string theory. The charts will show the tying together by vibratory rate of all kingdoms. The development charts will show the 12 chromatic musical tones down the side. The classifications of evolution will be in each square across the top. This will give us a total of 144 vibratory rates in each kingdom. When all the charts are filled in, everything falling on the same square in each chart would give us the perfect factors for any human whose blood vibrated at this same pitch. The elemental square would be the perfect element for healing energies. In the geological kingdom would get the perfect food or herb, and the mineral in the same square would give the perfect nutritional supplement. In the animal half of the biological kingdom would be the perfect pet or even the perfect organ donor for transplants. In the human half of the biological kingdom we'd get the musical tone that would give the perfect music for easing stress and tuning us up. The prismatic kingdom would give the perfect color for clothes, home decoration, food, and so on. The atmosphere chart will give the perfect weather conditions or climate. The astronomical charts, the perfect astrology influences. All of this will help with the problems of obesity and allergies that trouble us today. These charts could be done for every conceivable item of creation. Everything in all kingdoms that is of nature will fall into one of the 144 blocks on one of the charts. The charts are based on a spiritual premise that is unfaltering and unchanging throughout all universes. This is the fact that all creation is a repeated pattern. As the different kingdoms were brought into existence on the earth plane, the repeated process was begun with the exact same vibratory rates manifesting in a different manner. This is what all kingdoms consist of, a different manifestation of the exact same frequency of the Creator's energy. The material that these charts will give will begin a new era for science on our planet. The science of agriculture will be the easiest application of the science of music. To begin with, we will need to advance music theory that is used today to a level comparable to trigonometry. Right now, it's at a level comparable to basic mathematics of adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. If one who were a genius in mathematics and also knew music theory thoroughly, a breakthrough in advanced music theory would soon come about. With more land being turned into housing developments and reducing the size of farmland, we'll eventually be faced with the big problem of not being able to feed all the people in the world. The science of music presents some answers to this problem. One of them has to do with the fact that fruits and vegetables all would grow better under what they used to call grow lights. I guess it's a proven fact, but isn't very practical for large crops. Actually, along with color, music makes plants of all kinds grow better, and this would be incorporated into fruit and vegetable barns. Another thing that would help is the pre-hatching of seeds to allow for miniaturized crops. There's also astrological charts for plants and new vibratory charts coming out of the science of music. We also need to do something about water problems. The science of music has come up with a way for all the excess water back east in our country to be diverted to the west in times of drought conditions. As far as astrological charts for the botanical kingdom, the astronomical kingdom is attracted to the botanical in a very strange way. At certain times of the year when the planet is ruling the earth that has the same vibratory rate as a certain plant, this plant will draw the magnetic vibrations from the planets and will produce the most abundant yield it will ever produce, not only in quantity but also in quality of the fruit or vegetable. This also takes place with trees, flowers, and bushes. All things in the botanical family will draw from the ruling planet of their identical vibratory rate. Once it is determined that astrological charts for plants will help with the growing of all plants, they will be used consistently. Also, by using the vibratory chart for the botanical kingdom, we can make charts of individual families of food to determine the ultimate growing conditions. Across the top will be the different classes of evolution, such as asexual, bisexual repollination, recirculation of juices, ability to bear fruit, expansion of a root system, mating caused by wind, and so forth. The musical tones will be down the side of the chart. When these charts are filled out, we'll be able to find the perfect colored lights and musical tones, along with new plant food from new minerals, and we will have perfection as far as controlled environment goes. All of these factors combined with the astrological charts will produce maximum crops for minimum land usage and will bring forth nature's mineral garden to enhance the intelligent reasoning mind of all humanity. One of the first steps in achieving nature's mineral garden would be experimental water disbursement stations. What is needed is a roundhouse reservoir in the center of our country with a huge crystal butterfly covering it that responds to humidity, sunlight, temperature, and calendar time. This will be the sensing device for diverting excess rainfall from one section of the country to another. The crystal butterfly would have 2 large wings on top, 2 smaller on the bottom, and the body in the middle. The substance this is built of must be the fibrous, grainy crystal actually grown underground. The body of the butterfly is the control room, the wing to the northwest is the actual releasing instruments for outflow, the one to the northeast for inflow. The butterfly antennae are moisture sensitive as to these 2 flows. They act as gauges as to what is going on underground. The wing to the southwest is a calendar room noting crop planting times and irrigation needs for all areas. The southeast wing is the area where the humidity is kept track of for all areas. The actual sensing devices for all gauges and measurements should be made out of natural crystals, not man-made artificial crystals. The antennae must be of the most sensitive crystal to be found anywhere, the diamond. The diamond-tip sensors will be underground at the exact level the water needs to stay. When the diamond tips have lost touch with the water, the inflow valve is activated. When totally submerged at the next diamond placement, 3 feet above the lowest ones, the inflow valve is shut and the outflow valve is activated, but only on call, because water will not flow out until the sensing devices in the lower wings of the butterfly activate it. The sensing devices will determine the amount of water needed to keep the area in exact mineral status. The crystal butterflies are the key to the whole project. They will be on top of the ground with underground pipes connecting them to the main butterfly. A network like a spider web will be formed with butterflies placed strategically to attract the water that is excess. It will then flow into the pipe connected to the butterfly and be pumped into the reservoir. The crystal butterflies will be set up to be used to irrigate the dry sections of the west. Most of the inflow will be from east to west, and pipelines will slant to the west downhill, but with pumps that can reverse the flow to the east if needed. Those using the water will also have butterflies in their area as watering troughs. They will have to tie into the nearest butterfly through community lines and then individual lines. Another area that will improve crop growing will be in the pre-hatching of seeds and embedding in them the means of aiding their growth. This involves all the previous factors mentioned being broken down into vibratory messages through the musical tones, which will then be translated into color vibrations and impregnated into the seeds. This will be as time-release capsules in each seed and ensure its growth to perfection. Food production will be done inside buildings with colored lights and music, where weather conditions will not affect them. The growing of food products will all be timed by a clock, so many minutes of a certain color and musical tone combination for each crop. Each plant will have a computer setting for the lights and pitches according to what growth cycle it is in at that particular time. Agriculture is a science now, but must become more of a science with much more experimentation done in miniaturizing crops than has been done up to the present. Much later in the century, the fields of wheat as we have them now will be no longer. A way will be discovered to miniaturize the crop so that a field half as large as those now will produce 5 times as much yield. This will also be under colored lights. There will be some new specimens of plants and trees that will be possible soon with new crossbreeding methods, which will be learned through the science of music. These will produce some beautiful flowering trees whose blossoms will remain all year and give off a healthy aroma beneficial to asthma sufferers, not harmful. The science of agriculture will be one of the most exciting areas wherein the science of music can be applied, and it can be accomplished now. It is not down the road into the future, as are some of the other applications. The science of agriculture will be the first one where music will give the greatest strides forward. It will be a very exciting field through a close association with the science of music, a hands-on beginning for a better future for humanity through nature's mineral garden. Our whole system of education needs to be restructured from bottom to top. The system we have been using for educational standards and guidelines is no longer applicable for today's times. It served most people well in the past, but it is time for a change. An entirely new approach must be put into place. Our present system has not kept pace with the evolvement of humanity. I have designed a totally new school system to be used from birth through college, based on the science of education and incorporating the arts into all subjects. They are called chrysalis schools. They're for the new millennium and can lay the foundation for future education. The science of education addresses the fact that the first thing people need is to be in harmony within themselves. Harmony can be achieved by giving people their self-esteem. Self-esteem only comes from the expression of the soul. Expression of the soul can only come by opening the creative channel through the arts. We need a school system that will bring the arts back into education. Instead of stressing sports, which are an outer expression of the physical body, more focus needs to be given to art, which is an inner expression of the soul. The human brain is not only divided into the right side and the left side, it is actually divided into 4 parts. There is a lower left side, a lower right, an upper left, and an upper right. Each of these divisions has 3 levels, with each level having 12 stages. The lower left division, 1, 2, 3, deals with our physical bodies. The lower right, 4, 5, 6, are emotional bodies. The upper left, 7, 8, 9, are mental bodies, and the upper right, 10, 11, and 12, are spiritual bodies. This gives us 12 levels or dimensions of the human mind, and most of humanity is functioning on the 3rd level. We've heard most of our lives that we're only using 10 or 15% of our brain, or perhaps even 20 to 25% of it. If we could learn to use it all, how different life would be. What a powerhouse we have built into us. The power of the brain is enormous. The path of progress should be from the lower left brain to the lower right brain, then upper left and upper right, with the apex of the mind where your inner being will be located. The connecting that is done with our creative channel is done as instinct in the first section, 1, 2, 3. The connecting from the next section, 4, 5, 6, is accomplished by use of the intuition. The connecting from the 3rd section, 7, 8, 9, comes as flashes of insight or genius, and the connecting from the 4th section, 10, 11, and 12, is as inspiration, divine inspiration. There will actually be 3 main divisions with large modules. Each one will focus on a different aspect of the students. The swimming pool skating rink module will serve the physical body. The gymnasium module will serve the mental body, and the auditorium module will serve the emotional body. There will be smaller connecting modules between the 3 bigger ones that will serve the spiritual body. The individual classrooms are round modules. The physical section of the classroom has a kitchen and an exercise area. It shares a piano and bleachers with the emotional section. The main teacher station is in the mental section, and each student desk is equipped with a computer. Schools will operate with 3 months of school, then 1 month off, then repeat around the calendar. Having the month off gives a pause that is necessary for more effective education. There will be new playgrounds designed around the different kingdoms, mineral, botanical, and the animal and human divisions of the biological kingdom, and incorporated into the curriculum as a class. The Mineral Kingdom playground will have the names of different rocks marked on them, and the child will relate to them by touching them and climbing on them. The Botanical Kingdom playground will be a delightful maze of trails and paths and small streams and waterfalls. The Animal Division of the Biological Kingdom playground will be more than just a petting zoo. They will learn of mother love and father nurturing. The Human Division of the Biological Kingdom playground will have many gymnastic-type structures, plus athletic fields, and an imagination city where their fantasies can be played out. Each playground will have healthful fruit drinks and water available. The halls of training are for birth through pre-K with the focus on the physical body. The goal will be stretching the brain by understanding the human form and will be achieved by the new concept of body thought, which is a tie-in between thought processes and the physical body. The halls of learning are for kindergarten through 6th grade with the focus on the emotional body. The goal will be the self-esteem of the student by opening the creative channel and will be achieved by the new concept of blended thought, which is preparing the creative channel by transmuting instinct to intuition. The halls of knowledge are for the 7th grade through the 12th grade with the focus on the mental body. The goal will be the independence of the student, accomplished by the importance of thought, and achieved by the new concept of analogic thought, which is using comparisons and analogies to further understanding. The halls of wisdom are for ages 18 through 20 with the focus on the spiritual body. The goal will be opening to the power of the mind through higher education and training, which will be achieved by the new concept of layered thought. Layered thought is based on the brain being a computer working with 12 different levels of brain functions. Future schooling will cover the first 20 years or so of life. The goal, the total complete product, so to speak, of the halls of training, learning, knowledge, and wisdom will be an entity so educated that he presents a composite knowledge of all aspects of all subjects. The overall picture of education will be a totally different concept than we have now. We simply must open the door to a new direction for education. The chrysalis schools are laid out to open the door to connecting with your inner being at a very young age. At one time, our scientists thought they were really getting a handle on how DNA works, but it seems the more they learn, the more they don't know. There's just so many combinations of genes and mutations within those combinations that it seems impossible that they'll ever be able to track them all. It almost seems like there's something they're missing as far as being able to keep track of what goes where in the DNA code for each individual person. What is really needed is a standardized blueprint or normal blueprint for the perfect human form to check all other factors against, and this they don't have. Even if they did have such a thing, it would be outdated because it has changed down through the centuries. The perfect DNA map of a human today would not look much like one of a human 2,000 years ago or even earlier. This is part of the problem of ever sorting it all out, and they have to take into consideration the many, many changes and mutations that keep happening. Just when scientists think they're on the right track, another proof of a mutation taking place comes into view, and every time this happens, the DNA code goes off in a different direction. What is really needed is some form of mapping or tracking that can readily follow these wild excursions off the main track without too much difficulty. Mathematics can only handle so many equations before it becomes hopelessly tangled. With music actually being the father of mathematics, it would be possible to track DNA codes through music theory. In the science of biology, the theory being proposed is that the blood of each human vibrates to a certain musical tone. All the organs in the body need to be in musical harmony with this tone. If not in harmony, there is a problem with that organ and its vibration needs pulled back into harmony before more harm is done. I have designed a new blood test machine that will find each one's ketone. This, coupled with the personal music chart, will give a complete look at the path of progress that a person should pursue. The vibration of the blood is set at birth. It is passed from the parents and is one of our genes of physical evolution. The chromosomes making up the genetic code of each individual are tiny subatomic particles which are encoded with the musical vibration or tone. Each newborn baby should be tested as to its ketone. The genetic code in each of us will make up our personal music chart. To be able to do these charts, we need to be able to find the pitch of the blood in a scientific manner. This will be accomplished by a new blood test done by the machine I designed called the ketone machine. The ketones will be found in the red cells of the blood in a three-stage process. The first stage is removing the salts in the blood. The process used to separate the salts is similar to that used in the making of table salt. The second stage is removing the liquid and air with both vacuum pumps, then withdrawing and sealing the vial in one motion. The third stage is that of setting up a vibratory field to imprint this ionized field with its own vibration, which is then sent to the computer for a readout. As the vibration around the planet changes, the chromosomal structure of all being born there must change, or they cannot survive. In the beginning, creation was whole, based on the 7-tone major scale. Then, when restructured creation came into being, the 12-tone chromatic scale was begun, and it was divided in half, male and female, then into thirds, the Trinity. Now it is to be divided into fourths, the synthesized man for the fourth dimension. The next mutation of genes will follow the expanded scales. The first expanded scale will add 3 tones, making a 15-tone scale, which will be divided into 5 sections for basing lessons on. Then by adding 3 more, we will have an 18-tone scale divided into 6 sections. Then adding 3 more will make a 21-tone scale with lessons divided into 7. This updating of the genetic code is absolutely necessary. The goal is to bring forth a totally synthesized, intelligent, joyful, spiritual person through the science of music. The newer human forms being born are being upgraded by the use of these upgraded atoms. The makeup of this young girl's body is different from both of her great-grandmothers. The social and educational system simply must go into a higher gear and become upgraded and pervaded by spirit to hold these newer human forms in the compactness of the atomic structure of each. The 12 tones of the chromatic scale each have 12 levels of vibration and color. This makes possible a pool of 144 possible chromosomes to choose from to encode in combinations too numerous to mention. Therefore, the genetic code cannot be exactly the same for all. There may be only 1 degree of tone or vibration of color that is different about each entity, but this is what makes each one an individual. The genetic code of each individual will be shown in their personal music chart. To figure the personal music charts, the accurate way of determining a person's ketone will be by testing the blood using the ketone machine. But there is a way of finding these tones through numerology. It is not ever going to be scientifically accurate. It is simply a tool for people to experiment with. The ketone is the emotional aspect for the physical body and designates what the person came into incarnation to work on and establishes a set of lessons and an emotional coloring for the physical form to tune itself to. Remember, the finding of the ketone for each individual based on this system of numerology will not be accurate enough to be used for scientific research. There are many factors that go into health and healing, and all the many ways that music can aid in healing. We will focus on 2 ways that the science of music can influence the science of healing. One way will be through tuning the chakras, and the other way will be with a healing machine that I have designed. We'll start by taking a quick look at the chakra system and its function in the human being. The chakra system has been the means of raising the vibratory rate of humanity as a whole in a controlled manner. The root chakra, the first chakra, was the first bundle of energy to be embodied in a manifested form in physical matter. There is considerable discomfort as the higher stages of this chakra begin to open. There is much pain in the lower back each time each level or stage opens. The root chakra was sealed over, and the bundle of energy was then embedded in the second chakra, the sacral plexus, to ensure survival of the race. The uncontrolled energy in this chakra causes sexual dysfunction in both men and women, and also causes cancer of the sexual organs. The solar plexus causes most of the diseases of the digestive system, the elimination system, and also the liver, gallbladder, and spleen. The heart chakra controls the heart and lungs and is directly responsible for giving blood to all the other areas. The fifth chakra controls the functions of the esophagus, vocal cords, and teeth. The sixth chakra, the third eye center, controls the nasal passages, the eyes, and for now the lower stages of the ears. The crown chakra controls only the brain, the motor functions of the body, plus the mental thought patterns. All chakra openings will cause physical sensations of some kind. It may be in the form of pain, or it may be just a strange sensation. The opening of chakras is a field for study that needs to be introduced into the medical field. Every disease known to man can be traced to the opening of a chakra in some area of the body. The science of healing, in conjunction with the science of music, provides us with a healing machine that will sit on the countertop in the kitchen. Each morning, people will access it and get a readout of their health and nutrition requirements for that day. This machine will be the ultimate in preventative medicine. It will allow the human body to be tuned up much like the present-day electronic piano tuners. The healing machine will give an accurate gauge of what's going on inside a human body. This can be directly registered by body fluids. The machine then can give a dose of a mineral or vitamin as needed to clear the blood of toxins or any number of other things such as cholesterol. The machine can measure any body fluid, but the smaller home model will be strictly for saliva. The saliva will be tested daily and will give an overall look at the total physical body. Then the theory of music will accurately compute exactly what pitches are needed for an overall general tune-up each day. The machine will then give these electric tune-ups, which will be fed into the navel and will feel like a slight electric shock. There will be a cord that will actually plug into the person's navel to raise the vibratory rate of this person's body. No one can listen to music and not be affected emotionally by it. This is due to the peculiar functioning of the solar plexus in humans. The physical location of the solar plexus is the central nervous system. The nerves in a human body are also tuned to certain pitches of music. They control the responses of the emotional expression factors of our body, such as our tear ducts and the temperature of our skin. The cells are also tuned to different pitches depending on what part of the body they are located in. Some of them are affected by music, triggered into response by music. Others give off or emit musical pitches. This is the basis for the healing done by the laying on of hands. The blood, through music theory, dictates what pitch the other organs and cells will have. These other parts of the body can be kept in tune because of the ability to directly infuse them with their correct vibratory rate by means of small electrical shocks. Many diseases will be healed by raising the vibration of the bloodstream in the human body for a short period of time. Long-term use will become reality once the vibrational charts are done. As soon as each main category of plants, minerals, animals, atmosphere, lights, and so on are put into place, 12 main categories for each chart, this information can serve as general guidelines for the different blood tones. The first step following this usage would be an electrical acupuncture process which will allow direct feeding of vibration into the cells of the body. This will be the forerunner of the healing machine, which needs the completion of all the vibratory charts and also the knowledge of how to tune thin sheets of glass. All of us can't help but wish there was some magic way of dealing with pain and healing. A person having one of these healing machines will have every magic potion available to man inside this machine to draw on. They will be able to face each day with dignity, perseverance, joy, and intelligence, eagerly anticipating the events of each day. What a way this would be for all to live their lives. In the science of chemistry, a new way of heating and cooling homes has been found through sun science. It is a new method of using solar energy in combination with music. In the science of chemistry, music will be combined with minerals to give us untapped energy sources. One of the most exciting projects to come out of the science of chemistry will be a new solar energy project that I have designed called Solar Select. Invisible light rays will be attracted by a chemical process into a mirror, intensified in power and reflected out of the mirror into the collector. Here they heat the circulating medium, move on to activate a battery into making electric current, and move on past this to the aquifer where they are converted into water. This system uses musically tuned glass in both the mirror and collector. Other aspects of the system, such as the battery and the aquifer, also use music. The system will shut down from dark to dawn only. Not only can it be used on new construction, it can also be installed on older homes. These units are each capable of heating approximately 700 square feet. The number of units needed will be dictated by the square footage of the home and will also provide enough electricity and water for that square footage. The mirror for this project is actually a musical laser consisting of crystal in the back and 7 layers of tuned glass in front. After intensifying, it will reflect off the back of the crystal and move through the layers of glass in a descending order. This will start a stepping down process of the now very intense ray. This intense gamma ray is then focused into the collector. The collector is round, as is the mirror, and is 7 times larger than the mirror. It consists of 3 sections laminated to each other. The front section is made up of 7 layers of tuned spun glass, which serves to step the energy of the new ray back down to a usable frequency for the Earth. This is followed by a battery, which is followed by an aquifer, thin sheets of musically tuned glass capable of producing water. As this ray passes out of the back of the collector in a very weakened condition, it absorbs pollutants out of the atmosphere. Each mirror collector will be self-contained with its own circulating pipe. This will allow different zones of heating for a home. The number of zones will be automatically dictated by the number of units required to heat the home according to square footage. The material for the distillate circulating pipes will be made of a new heat-retaining material with the capability of stretching. The distillate will leave the collector and progress to the first hot box in a series of vacuums designed to hold the temperature at its hottest point until reaching the first hot box. At this point, it will condense back to the liquid state and circulate through the hot boxes connected to that zone of heating and return to the collector to repeat the process. The substances used for heat retention for this solar project are organic. They have passed every heat retention test given them, competing against every known heat retention substance in use today. The mash is cooked and fermented. The fermented mash is then put through a distilling process, and the distillate is used as the fluid in the pipes of the circulating system. After going through a purification process, the mash is used in the hot boxes. These hot boxes can be streamlined affairs any size you want them to be to fit into the home. Each hot box, if designed correctly, will be able to heat approximately 120 square feet. The battery for this solar system is a very simple affair. The electricity generated by this battery can be left as direct current or converted to alternating current. There will be 220, 110, and 75-volt coils. The same system used to heat the home could be used for cooling a home, with a few minor adjustments, and would require the addition of the battery. The aquifer will produce 40 gallons of water within a 24-hour period for each unit. And remember, there will be either 2 or 3 units on a home. This should be sufficient for all the needs of a small family farm. The mirror and collector operate as a total unit, and as such track the sun. The collector's back will actually be what tracks the sun. The mirror and collector need mounted on the same track, with the mirror elevated and tilted downward into the collector. The solar energy project is of a radioactive nature. This is indeed what true solar energy will always be. It does not necessarily need to be harmful. There are built-in safety features every stage of the system. The danger lies to those who are doing the actual hands-on experimentation to get the project to a workable stage. The design of this operating system would be applicable to the cars we are driving presently, a radon car. The unit would be placed on the back of the car with a mirror mounted above the rear window. There would be an airfoil type fin on top of the trunk with the collector mounted in it. This design will use the same engine in present cars and replace the fuel. The success of this system is based on it being kept a small design. It would be quite complicated if enlarged, and also quite inefficient. The intensity of the mirror will make this total system approximately 40 to 50% more effective than existing solar energy systems. It has been designed to give energy independence to everyone in the world. It has the potential of opening land for use in many countries that until now has been useless. The application of the science of music to the science of architecture is the furthest into the future. However, this does not discount the importance of this application of music as being the ultimate proof of the power of music. After the musical scales are expanded, the higher pitches are the ones that will be used for healing, and the lower ones are the ones that will be used for building. The way to heat homes in the future will be with musical motors. The heating and cooling abilities of this system are much more intricate than today's heat pump, and will be very sensitive to fine degrees of difference in heat and moisture. Plants in the home will also be part of the system. A musical motor in combination with plants and flowers will be used for the heating, cooling, and water waste systems in the homes. The plants and flowers will be carefully chosen for each home, as they must match the vibrations of the occupants. Outside weather data will also be used and fed into a computer and then sent to a crystal rose, which activates the heating or cooling apparatus. There will be a disc or screen for each occupant that will look like the old-fashioned player piano rolls. The screens will necessarily need to be reprogrammed when occupancy changes. The water supply pumps will be activated with wires to be drawn across the screens to sound the musical pitch and set up the vibration that activates the mechanical parts of the pumps. Round modules or components of houses are the wave of the future. According to physics, this is the easiest way for heat to reach all areas evenly. These modules can be added or changed as needed. A basic starter home would have 2 modules, the physical plant of the house and 1 great room. From that point on, the round modules with connectors could be added one at a time. We could rearrange the rooms in our house as easily as we now rearrange furniture in our rooms. Music applied to the science of architecture will show that the building of controlled environment structures can be done effortlessly through the use of musical formulas applied scientifically to atomic energy subparticles. The beauty of melodic structure is visible in musical scores by J.S. Bach on the left and S.S. Bohl on the right. This next picture shows these patterns reflected in the design of the two sample staircases. This is a simple illustration. The musical patterns for different intervals in music are shown here. Ancient civilizations understood this science. The ancient Egyptians were able to create, purify, and sustain a tone of the magnitude to move million-ton blocks of stone to build pyramids. They accomplished this by the use of tuned crystals embedded in hollowed-out stones that were perfect matches, only an octave apart in frequency. To move them, they employed the major scale in a series of octaves with the stones spaced out exactly the right distance to cover the pitches of 7 octaves. When the hollowed-out stones were placed below the blocks became weightless to a degree of 1/100,000th of their original weight and could be easily carried by about 6 men. As they approached the next hollowed-out stone with the crystal embedded in it, they would tap it or hit it with a stick, causing the vibration to reach back halfway to the stone they were leaving and forward to the next stone. It was as though their block was riding on a current of air, but it really was a vibration so in harmony with the atmosphere of the earth that it produced weightlessness. These ancient people knew all the combinations to be able to achieve the tones necessary. We will be able to do this when the vibratory charts are finished. Then the lifting of heavy objects will be done with an interlace of musical pitches. The formula for each object, according to weight and size, is determined in color first, then transposed to music. In other words, a computer can be programmed to take the dimensions of an object plus its weight and give, in fractals of color, a pattern that, when transposed into musical composition, will allow this object to become weightless and be able to be lifted and moved by a human being. The hardest aspect of this project would be the initial programming of the computer to transpose the dimensions and weight into a color pattern. This would involve fractal mathematics, but it can be done. The colors themselves are based on 12 degrees of light, and the musical tones of a synthesizer are based on 12 degrees of sound. This is where it must start. There is a way to prevent any more examples of bad design like the examples of the Tacoma Narrows Bridge we're seeing in this picture. The levels of pitch of the building tones will be likened to the dimensions of a building or bridge to be built. When fed into a computer, they will show the strongest and most economical design for that building or bridge and will ensure against error. The application of the science of music to the science of architecture, as far as the building formulas of music, cannot be taught until the theory of music is advanced as far as trigonometry. Then it will be able to be progressed into higher math, where it will be combined with advances in physics which will enable controllable force to move heavy objects with music. Eventually, the musical frequency of the formulas used in design will be the means of moving sections of walls and roofs and so on into place. Merely by sounding the correct musical pitch, the big sections will be able to be lifted into place by men. The correct design coupled with the matching musical pitch results in the weightlessness of space as it surpasses the gravity field of Earth in frequency. All of creation is based on music. In the beginning, all was created through vibration, which is, of course, a musical tone. The basic makeup of each planet and its musical component is based on a mathematical formula that is directly related to music. Each planet has its own tone and color, and when combined with the science of physics will show paths of orbits and cycles of progress, the total rhythm of the universe. I have always been interested in astronomy. I thought that the name Norma was a planet, but discovered recently that it is actually a constellation. I have since found a star map in an old astronomy magazine that actually shows Norma. It is only visible in the nighttime August sky. We'll take a look at the evolving universes that led eventually to the Big Bang, but first I need to explain the line of demarcation as an imaginary line between the two kinds of matter, ethereal and physical. Each of the following drawings of the universes will show the line of demarcation. The universes start below it and move above it. The first universe was an endless, identical frequency of light with the potential to separate into fragments, potential differentiation. Universe number 2 was just being, a state of stagnation combined with force, potential force. The third universe is built on the building block called potential expansion. Universe number 4 saw the actual manifestation of sound in physical matter, a droplet of condensation, the first matter in all of creation. Universe number 5 saw this droplet of condensation split in half, bringing in the manifestation of colors and the first manifestation of male and female energies. In universe number 6, one droplet pulled more vacuum in and the other half gave back to the vacuum, causing it to overbalance, and crystalline white light filled the area. In the first universe number 7, we see the actual beginning of creation when this vacuum imploded and started an identical buildup as before. The second time the energy rushed back to the center, the big explosion took place. The first nuclear explosion. The explosion shattered all except one atom, which was left perfect and whole, the hydrogen atom. We are still in the action of this nuclear explosion, which actually gave birth to our Creator. Nuclear energy is the Creator, and as such is being misused. It should be worshipped and revered and respected because it is the Creator. The explosion shattered all except one atom, which was left perfect and whole, the hydrogen atom. This then was the birth of our Creator, the beginning of our universe. When the Big Bang occurred, at that time there was a mind, the Creator's mind, that caused the creation of everything, and the tiny little central core that caused it all is still there. Much of the original mind stayed contained within the black hole and controlled or patterned the particles that were drifting away into the vast cosmos with the pattern for the perfect mind. But part of the central nucleus of energy was torn away and settled into a pattern of revolution around this stationary core. Universal drift then took control, and creation worked its way ever outward from the tiny droplet. It is all forever expanding outward, away from the original Creator God. All that has taken place since then originated in this mind. At the time of the nuclear explosion, this mind was shattered into individual particles. You and I and everyone were part of one of these particles. Due to the principle of like attracts like, the particles grouped together as far as vibration went and began to form into galaxies, stars, planets, and suns. Energy is above and below, feeding life, which evolves horizontally. This fact should be studied more closely by scientists in view of planned space flights. The universe is alive with musical vibration. For instance, in the universe there are time tubes that run through it, which, when found, would make space travel much easier and faster. The vibratory rate within these time tubes is totally different than the vibratory rate outside the tubes. Picture one of these time tubes as a field of cooked rice with the path of uncooked rice through the middle of it. The cooked rice eventually covers an area 100 times larger than the path through the middle. If you were traveling and your travel was based on grains of rice instead of miles, you can easily see how much quicker you would get to your destination by taking the path through the middle. Each grain of rice, each mile of space expands to approximately 100 times the original. Music is the tying link between all planets, all galaxies, all space. When something is based on a chord tone, on harmonizing tones, it sets up the overtones, which is like a string up into the higher ethers. Picture it as a column of smoke that starts rising up almost as an umbilical cord into the higher planes when things are harmonious. This harmony could be shown in mathematics, but it could not be experienced. It could not be heard. It can be heard in music, and it can be very simply translated from music into color. With music, you can see it, you can put it down on paper, you can hear it, and you can experience it within your very being. This is going to be the basis of the communication with other planets, these vibrations of music being felt throughout our bodies. The Transformer Chart project of the science of astronomy will deal with the health, understanding, and growth of all things, including human beings. A map based on grids needs drawn up and events of our history marked at the correct spot. These events will cycle back around over and over on a higher spiral of evolution each time. These rhythm cycles will bring the event back around, and hopefully it will turn out for the betterment of humanity next time. The universe is but one huge glorious transformer for the Creator's energy. The study of astronomy is very important to understanding the passage and transforming of energy. If a transforming field duplicating the original transforming field could be built, there would be health, peace, and joy unending for all.